Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, I have discussed about Laravel default authentication, all that features. So right now, I have already registered some of the user. Right now, if you want to log in with this new user, I have created as the admin@gmail.com and then password as udemy12345. And now if you log in, then it's redirected to our dashboard. Right, so as I told you friend, that is the file structure, and if you go to our project directory, if you go to our web route, into the web route, you can see when you install default authentication system, that is the middleware, that is a default one of the middleware, and that is our route, one of the route. Into the function area, it's returned one of the view page. So that is the view and the dashboard. That means if you go to our view, that means views, into the views area, that is our dashboard is now working. So that's the dashboard area here. So that is our dashboard page. So now in this video, I want to read this data. So I have already created two of these users. So right now I want to get this user data. This user data I want to get, and I want to visible it in particular that area. So that is the portion I have already discussed about that things with you here. If you put anything, so right now better I don't need this div. Okay, I don't need this div. I also want to remove it, then it should be actually clean. So here in particular that area I want to visible it. If you click at the save all, and now if you refresh it, now you can see this data is visible on here. So now I want to add one of the table, then it should be better. I want to use that bootstrap. So if you want to use that bootstrap, go to that bootstrap official site. So that is the bootstrap official site. I want to go there, and now go to that documentation, and to the documentation here there is our CSS for the bootstrap and the JSS. So first of all I want to add all that CSS, because of all I want to use that bootstrap code. So for the reasons I copy it. Okay, I copy that CSS code, and now if you want to add it, as I told you, when you install default authentication system, there is a layouts and there is our applet. So that is the applet. Here you have to add all that to your CSS file. So you can see that is by default some of the CSS style file. So now I want to add that style, that means our bootstrap file, in particular that area. And also I want to add that JSS file. Then we can actually use all that bootstrap features in our project. Better I copy it, and also before this body, okay, before this body I want to add that all that JavaScript, that means the JavaScript code. Okay friend, so now we can actually use it. So make that sure you add both of these in your applet, that means layouts, into the applet. Now I click as a save all. So here in particular that area, that means in our dashboard area, here I want to add one of the table. If you go to that bootstrap, and to the bootstrap, if you go to that component, and here I want to find out the table. So that is the table. There is a form that is in our content, and to the content here you can see there is a table. So now I want to get like this table for education purpose. I want to use this table. So that is all that bootstrap code. Okay, that means that is all that bootstrap code. I copy it. So I simply copy it, and now here better I want to add one of the div. I take one of the div. So I finish that div, and here I close that div. So that is our div. Okay, so into the div area I want to create one of the class. I create one of the bootstrap class, and this they have another bootstrap class as a container. So I name it as a container, and also I take another div. I take another div, and also I want to close it. There is a close div, and here I will take another class, and I want to create another class, and I name it as a row. Okay, that is a row class. Perfect. So that is our two of this. So that is our one, and then our row class. So in particular that area I want to paste it. That means I want to paste this table, which I have already copied from our bootstrap. That means from here I copy this table, and now I want to add this table. Okay friend, so now let's check this out. Everything is perfectly working or not. Now if you click as a save all, and now if you go your home page, that means dashboard, click as a refresh, Yes, you can see it's now perfectly getting our bootstrap. So here if you want to check it that bootstrap is working or not, like if you go to your app and from here if you remove this CSS, okay, so if you remove this CSS, now if you click the save all, and now if you refresh it, now you can see then it will be displayed like that way. So for the reasons, make that sure you add this bootstrap CSS link. So I have already added. Now click as a save all, and now if you refresh it, now you can see it's now perfectly working. So now I want to get our this data. I want to get our these two of this user data. I want to visible it on here. Okay, so if you want to do that work, say right now I only want to take one table, that means one table row. So that is our applet, we don't need this. 14, we don't need this. So into the dashboard, that is our tier. I only want to take one tier because here I want to make it as a dynamic. So here you can see I only take that one tier. Okay, so first of all here I want to visible our serial number. That means the serial number I want to visible our username. That means that will be our username will be visible, user email will be visible. So I want to display that user email, whatever the data actually you want to add, show, that is our field name as a name. I want to display that email address, and also I want to display that this field as a created at. Okay, so that is I take another one as a created at. So that will be our all that field. So now I want to visible it. I want to get all that our name, email, and the created add data from to the database. So friend, if you want to read this data, you can read, or you can insert it. They have the two different type of way you can actually do that work. One is the Eloquent ORM, another is the query builder. So whatever the things you choose with this query builder, you can also create the code application. That means you can create this data, you can read this data from to this database, you can update this data, you can also delete this data. So you can use that Eloquent ORM rather than you can also use that query builder. So I will discuss both of this with you, then everything will be very clear. Okay friend, don't worry. So as I told you friend, everything I want to share with you, what is things is related. So right now that's the data I want to get this data from our this table. That means our user table. I want to visible it in our this page. So if you want to pass this data from to the database, and if you want to pass this data on here, they have already in our web route, into the web route, you can see there is already get this data and return this data into the dashboard, right? That means the return our this dashboard page. So here I want to get this data, I want to pass this data into the dashboard page. Okay friends, so how you can do that work, I show you. Like for doing this, first of all you can use that Eloquent ORM. So if you want to use that Eloquent ORM, then that is actually the different process. So I discuss both of this with you, then everything will be very clear to you. So first of all I want to take one of the variable. Okay, whatever the variable you want to take, I take it as users. And into the users here I have already added one of the default user table model. Like when you installed Laravel actually provided by default one of the user, that is our user.php. Okay, that is one of the model. So now with this model I want to get this data. Okay, so from here, that is our database, so that is a user table. So with this model, as I told you, when you read any data, when you work with anything with the database, then our model will be work. Okay, so with this user model I want to get this data. So for the reasons here you have to add that your user model. So I use that user, that means our user model, and from to the user model I want to get all the data. So for the reasons I take it as a all. Okay friend, so here I take it as a all data. So if you use that user, then you have to also load your this model, that means this model in particular that area. So here first of all I want to use it, that means the use, and that is in our app. So that is in our app, and then after that that is our app, and then the models, and after that models, that is our user.php, right? So now I name it as a models. So that is a models, and after that models, that is a back, and then the user, that is our user model. I hope it's very much clear to you, friend. So make that sure you use this user. Okay, so I use this user, and now also I use it on here. So from here I get all the data from our database. That means from our user, that means from our user table I get all the data and take this data with this variable as a user. So right now all the our data is in our this variable area as a user area, right? So now I want to pass it in our which page? I want to pass it in our this dashboard page, right? Because here I want to visible this data on here. So if you want to visible it, so here we have to pass all that our user data. I have already get all that our user data, take that things with this variable. So now we have to pass it. So if you want to pass it, they have also another command line as a compact. So we have to compact it. Okay, so we have to compact this user data. So that is our view page. So into the view area, after this I put as a comma, and I want to compact. So there is another option as a compact, and with this compact I want to pass all that our user data. So right now we can actually able to access our all that user data in our this dashboard page. I hope it's very much clear to you, friend. So that is the main basic structure, friend. How much easy it is that you just flow that step. Just remember that part. I get all the data from our user, take this data with this variable, and then I simply pass all the data in our dashboard. So if you want to pass it, you have to pass it with the compact and then all that user variable data. Okay, so now I want to visible it in our dashboard page. So now go to our dashboard, that means in our view, and that is our dashboard page. Here I want to visible. So if you want to visible it, so here we have to load one of the for each loop. Okay, with the for each loop you can actually do that work. So as I told you, friend, right now we are using that blade syntax. So into the blade syntax, if you use that for each loop, you have to write down as a for each. So that is our for each. Okay, and into the for each area we have to first of all get this data. So from here I pass all the data as a users, right? So now I want to add this as a with this dollar as a users as I want to visible it with a different name. I name it as a user. You can use that row, whatever that name. Okay, so now with this user you can actually use it. So I make it as a users and as users, and after that is our tier. I want to finish that our for each loop. So make that sure you finish it. So that is a and for each. Okay, that will be as a and for each. So now with this user I want to visible all that our database field. Like first of all, that is our name. So that is the name I want to visible it. Well, so right now we are using that our blade syntax. So that is into the blade syntax. As I told you, if you want to display any data, you have to add the double curly bracket, and into this position with this user I want to access our this field name. And if you go to our database, into the database, our this field name as a name, this field name as an email, and also another one as a created _ add. Okay, friend. So now I want to add both of this. That means here it will be as a database field name as a name, and better I copy it. I want to add another two of this. So with this user, not that users. Okay, so because of all with the for each, we have to take all the data from our page, and I just name it as user. So with this user I want to display the name, I want to display the another field name as email. Okay, another field name as email, another is a created at. So if you go to our database, our field name as a created _ at. Okay, so now I name it as a created _ at. So that will be as a created at field. I hope, friend, it's very much clear to you. So now if everything okay, it should be work. Now click as a save all. I click as a save all, and now if you go your site, and now if you refresh it, yes, you can see, friend, now there is our serial number, there is our Kazi name. That means this name actually now comes from our database. So into the database you can see that is our name Kazi, Aryan, email address. So it's perfectly getting the data as a Kazi, as a Aryan. It's now display that email address, and also it's display that created at. And there is a serial number. So if you want to update that serial number, automatically it will be increased as a 1, 2. You can do that work very easy way. Like here, first of all, I want to I want to take one of the PHP, like here I take it as a PHP, and with the PHP area I take one of the variable as a $I. Okay, whatever you want. So that is very much common. Every programmer actually use that as a I as a variable, so I make it as a 1. Okay, so that means it should be started from 1. So if you want to start it from the 0, you can make it as a 0. So right now it's okay with me. And now this variable I want to add this on here. So with the double curly bracket, with this variable I want to make it as a plus plus. That means it should be automatically increment, because of all here right now we are into the one of the for each loop, right friend? So now I want to increase it. So that's all you have to do. Now click as a save all. And now if you refresh it, now you can see it's not perfect, it's not updated at 1, and there is our another one as a 2. And also there is a created at. So this is the format if you want to change it. So right now we are using that Eloquent ORM, right? So into the Eloquent ORM, because of all here you can see we are using that. That is actually the format as the Eloquent ORM format. So with this Eloquent ORM we get our this data. So here if you want to update this part, that means this created part have also another function. That is also one of the default function in Laravel. If you want to change the date format, there is another one is a diff for human. Okay, diff for human. So that is also one of the functions. So if you use this function, then our this format will be totally changed. I show you, like if you click as a save all, I updated that as a diff for humans. And now if you click as a refresh, yes, you can see friend, now it's perfectly successfully updated. Now it's showing as a 6:46 minutes ago, and I have created that user as a 32 minutes ago. Okay, so here we successfully updated that part. And now if you go to that logout, I want to create new register user and name it as a test, and also it should be as a test@gmail.com. I put that the Udemy 12345, Udemy 12345. Okay, now click as a register. Yes, you can see we are now registered again, and now we are logging with our different user, and that is our user name is serial number is visible, name is visible, email address is visible, and also it's showing our created ad. So now it's created ad before that's 1 second ago. So that is our new user. So now also here if you want to update it, like here if you want to display as a hi and which user is already logging, this user name if you want to visible, and you can also visible it. Also if you want to display the total count, that means how many user you have, if you want to visible it in particular that area, you can visible it. I show you. So it's very much easy process friend. If you actually practice, everything should be very much clear to you. Like that is the dashboard, right? So this the dashboard text is now visible on here. So that is the actually appropriate position. So right now I want to do and to remove it. So here I want to do I want to take one of the hi, okay, hi, and then I want to visible our user. So I take one of the b tag. Okay, that means the bold tag. Into the bold tag area I want to use that our auth. I have already installed the default authentication system. When you install it, it's also provided another default auth. So with this auth you will get all that your user details. So with this auth I want to access as a, that is all that actually default value. I want to use that user. Okay, user, which user field you want to visible. I want to visible our this auth, that means which user already logging. Okay, that means which user right now logging, this user name I want to visible. So this user name, it means that is actually our field name. I want to visible this name. Okay, that means this user field name I want to visible. So that will be as a name. I hope it's very much clear to you friends. So now it should be display as a hi and which user is already logged in, and this user name will be visible. Now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, so right now I am logging with the test, right? So I am logging with the test. So if you now refresh it, there is another one as a test. So now if you click as a refresh, yes, you can see friend, now it's showing as a hi and then it's display as a test. Right, so right now I am logging with this user as a test user, for the reasons is display as a test. And here also if you want to display, that means the count, that means how many user you have. If you want to display, you can also display it. Better I want to do after this. Okay, After this, I take another B tag, that means a bold tag, and I also want to put one of the style, style, style. I want to put one of the style, and this style I want to make it as a float. Okay, so float, and I make it float as a right. So I make it as a float right, and it should be display. It should be display as a name. I name it as a total. Okay, total users. So this type of one of the total users data I want to visible, and also better here if you want to display that one of the count, you can display it with this span. I take one of the span, and also I finish that span. Okay, I finish that span, and now in particular that area I want to put on the class. So that is all the default actually class. So now you want to use it as a bad G, and then bad G danger. Okay, you can make it as a success, info, that is different type of classes. So that is all that bootstrap class. So now I want to use that danger, that means it should be as a rate, and in particular that area I want to display the count. Okay, I want to display the count with the double curly bracket, and they have also another option for the count. So I want to display the count, and count what? Count our user. Okay, so I have already get all that our data in a web route. I have already get all the data with this user. So with this users we can actually get it. So now I want to pass it. Okay, so right now I want to pass it, that is the users. But here you can see when you use it in our for each loop, I have already changed that name as users as user. Right now we are not into the for each loop, we are outside of this for each. For the reasons here we have to use it as a users. Okay, because of all from here I pass it as a users. So now successfully I updated that count. Now let's check this out. If we now click as a save all, so that is all that our code. Now refresh it. Yes, you can see it's now perfectly visible our total users, and they have the 3 users right now. It's also counting all that users, and now you can see it's now showing as a 3 user. So right now from here, if you click as a logout, if you want to log in with the admin, so that is our admin udemy 12345. Now click as a login. Yes, now you can see it's now showing our Kai Kazi. So right now I'm logging with the Kazi, is get all the data from our database, and also is display our total user. So friend, I hope you enjoyed very much how much easily you get all the data from the database and how can visible it. So friend, here I'm using as a Eloquent ORM, right? So if you want to get this data with using that query builder, how can do that work? In our next video I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.